How about you, Asha?
I'm not quite sure.
It's all right. All good. Georgia, what do you want to get out of today?
Just improving like my extensions overall.
How about you, Misty?
My extensions.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because this is an extensions workshop, right? Like that's what we're trying to do today is to get better extensions. So what I want you guys to start with is we're going to sit on the floor. The very first exercise, sitting on the floor. Right? Extensions. Where do you think you lift your legs from? Girls, where do you think you lift your legs from? What part of your body? Take a guess. Does it come from the quadriceps? Does it come from the knees? Does it come from your feet? Where do we think we lift our legs from? Daisy seems to have it. All right, so the first place that we lift our legs from, if we're going to go above, especially above 90 degrees, is our hip flexors. Okay, so the hip flexor is what causes the hip to flex. So bringing those legs up closer towards your head. All right? So what I want you to do, just to start out, is you're going to place your hands by your knees. So nice and forward. So we don't want them to be behind us. Bring those legs all the way close to our knees. And then you're going to lift one leg up and then down. And then the other leg up and down. The leg up and down. Other leg up and down. Just keep going with that. So lifting one leg up and down. Making sure that the hands are staying on the ground and they're close to your knees. So we don't want to have them too far behind us like this. Bring them forward. So it's forcing us to put our body already into a flexed position. And we're challenging ourselves to lift our legs. So bring your body a little bit farther forward. Amazing, yeah. And now stretch your arms all the way so they're by your legs and then lift up. You feel that working a little bit more now? Yeah. Again, bring your body forward more. More, and now lift your leg up. There we go, yes, okay? So this is going to strengthen the hip flexor. This is an exercise that you can do every day, and I would suggest you do it for 1 minute, just to start out, okay? So you're going to lift one leg and down, other leg and down, other leg and down, other leg and down, okay? So what this is going to do is, over time, it's going to work on strengthening your hip flexors. Now, if we think about this, everyone stand up for a second. How many times have you been told not to use your hip flexor to lift your legs? Has anyone been told that before? In this room? No? I'm sure some people have. Daisy, you've been told that? Don't use your hip flexor to lift your legs? Yeah? Okay. So think about it this way. Try and lift your leg up now, like this, without using this muscle. No one's legs moved. It's not possible, is it? If you put your finger here and you lift up, you're going to feel that that works. Right here. A little bit farther down from you. Okay, so it's maybe hard to see on my body, but this, it's not all the way up on the bone. It's working down into just above the top of your quadricep. Okay, so if I lift this leg up, I'm sure you can feel that that muscle is starting to work. Yeah, you feel that? Good, okay, so it's a group of muscles called the hip flexor. The hip flexors attach to another group of muscles, which is called the psoas, and that psoas attaches to the spine. All right, so if we're looking at ballet specifically, and we're saying, okay, well in ballet we have to turn out, right? So let's come into a parallel position now. For those of you who have worked with me before, you know what we're about to do. For those of you who haven't, it's okay, you can find out. So what you're going to do, your feet are going to be pointing straight to the front, so we're not turning out at all. And then you're going to rotate from the top of the leg. So you're not turning your feet out, just your legs. So your legs are going to turn out, and then release. Turn your legs out, and release. When you do this, you're going to start to feel a connection through this part of your body as well. So the glutes start to work. And the other thing that's going to happen is your ankles are going to lift up. So we don't have any type of rolling in anymore. Okay? Which is going to put a really good sturdy protection into our feet. So our big toe, our little toe, and our heel are firmly placed into the floor. And we're rotating through the top of the leg and then coming back. And just do that 10 times for me. So rotate, come back. Rotate, back, rotate, back, rotate, Keep going. 5 more. 3, 2, and 1. And so what we've done now, we've activated the hip flexor and we've activated the external rotators. So the muscles that are in our body that actually cause the legs to turn out. Now, if we turn our heels out, so no toes turning out, heels are going to come forward, not toes back. And we find that same feeling that we just found when we were in parallel. So I want you to lift up through the front of the leg, rotating from the tops of the legs, and we're going to get that little bit of squeeze that we had in our glutes before. Now, what I also want you to do is think that your belly button is going to pull 2 centimeters higher than where it currently is. So if someone were to hook their finger into your belly button and lift you up, it's lifting up, and we're rotating through the tops of the legs. All right, so this is really important. You're probably wondering, what does this have to do with getting my legs up high? It has everything to do with getting your legs up high, because if we don't start in the right position, you're going to end up like this. Okay, so we have to make sure that everything from the base starts first before we can get our legs into that nice high extension. Okay? Now let's go to the bar. Everyone go to the bar. And what we're going to do, you're just going to stand in 5th position. So find that same rotation that we just found. We're going to go into 5th position. And what I would like to see from everybody is that your heel is going to push forward. We're going to taunt you to the front. I want you to push your heel forward first, and then as we come back into 5th position, I want you to bring your toe back and your heel stays forward. Okay, so push your heel forward, heel going forward, and then as we come back, toe is coming back first. So when we return, have a look. I'm going to use some of the girls in the class to demonstrate this. Do a taunt for me, Elin. Okay, so from this position, Elin's foot is not turned out enough. Okay, so we want to be in this position here. All right? From this position, if we're going back into the 5th position, I want your toes to go first. Toes go first, toes go first, toes go first. Yes. Okay, so it's like someone is holding your heel there, and the toes start to move, and we're rotating again from the top of the leg as we bring that leg back into 5th position. All right, so make sure to do that again. So from here, we're looking from this side. Now the toes are going to come back, toes are going to come back, toes back, toes back, toes back. Okay, so you can see that it's squeezing. And if you're doing this right, girls, you're going to start to feel a little bit of a pinch in this part of your leg here. Okay, so as we bring that leg in, it's pinching, you're pinching at the front and you're pinching at the back. And we're trying to pull as much as we can, squeezing at the top of the legs across. Just do that a couple of times, girls. So doing those tendus to the front. Now watch, those of you at home, toes coming back first. That's good, Misty. Good, Jada. Miller, can you cross your 5th position a little bit more for me? And pull up more on your standing leg. So I want your body is kind of tilted slightly away from the bar. I want you to pull your whole shoulder line a little bit closer over your toes on your standing foot. That's it, good. Now point your foot all the way out to the front, more, keep pointing, keep pointing, keep pointing. And now, yeah, there we go. And then your toes are gonna come back. Toes back first, all the way in, and close, good. Show me, Georgia. Good, okay. So this is important, girls. Your tendus, have a rest, have a rest. Your tendus are really important in relation to your extensions because the way that you open your leg from 5th position is going to be directly related to the way that you do a développé. All right, so if you're doing your tendus like this, your développé is going to go like this. All right, so we're already teaching, we're already working on our développés when we're doing our tendus. Okay, so just keep working on this a little bit. We'll keep doing these tendus. Do 5 more tendus to the front on that leg, and then we'll swap legs. We'll do the other side. So do 5 more. Tendus to the front. Really rotating through the leg, pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward. Good. And then coming back in. Pushing forward, heel forward, go forward, go forward, go forward, go forward, go forward. And then the toes are going to come back. Toes come back, toes come back, toes come back, all the way. Good. Again, heel forward and toes back. And last one, heel forward and toes back. And swap sides for me. Going on to the other side. Going heels forward and toes back. Good. Cross your tendu a little bit more for me, Georgia, so the toe is right in front of the midline of the standing foot. That's it, good. Now when we close, girls, we want to make sure, this is a common thing that happens, as I close this tendu, I don't want to go like that. Okay, so this standing leg has to get taller and longer as I close into fifth position so that I don't get that kind of stick the butt out and then reset movement as I close the fifth position. Get taller, get taller, get taller, get taller up on that standing leg. Good, Misty, I want you to lift your belly button up even more. Yes, and now shoulders back and down. That's it, good. Good, girls. All right, so we've got tendus out to the front. Okay, now, tendu out to the side. What do you think the pathway is for tendu out to the side? Does anyone have a guess? It's not a trick question. Go straight out to the side. All right, but, yes, Daisy, what do you want to say?
Is it through first?
It is through first. However, we have to still rotate. Okay, so what I want you to think about, every time that we're moving our leg, it's a rotation, it's not a straight out movement. Okay, so if I'm going out to the side, for example, if I'm going out to the side, I can't just go like that. I haven't done any type of rotation for my leg. I actually have to think down and rotate the leg, and I'm turning out both legs at the same time, which allows for that standing leg and the working leg to escape from that fifth position. Okay, so show me your fifth positions. Everyone show me fifth position. You can put hands on the bar, back to the bar, that's fine. Now what I want you to do is push your heel down and rotate the heel forward as you do that tendu out to the side without your hips twisting. If you felt your hips twist, bring it back in, try again. That's it, Asher, good. Good, Daisy. Okay, so it's that rotation of the leg. And this is again going to be important because as we do any type of lifting up into retiré before we do a développé, we have to start not by lifting, but by rotating the leg into the coude or into the retiré. Okay? So just keep working on that tendu, rotate the leg out to the side, do 5 tendus to the side, rotate the leg, and then close back into it. Good, rotate the leg, and close back into it. 3 more, rotate the leg. To get taller, understanding so get longer. So as you go out, I want you to pull up. Yes. Good. Good. Rotate the leg and then come back in. Okay, so as we do this, you're thinking about how much rotation can I get. Now when we close, we have to always close through first position. Okay, so if I'm going out to the side, I'm doing my tendu to the side, and I go like this, I'm all over the place, and my hips are twisting, and my standing leg is rotating in and out. Okay, so as I do this tendu to the side, I have to close through fifth position, through first position into fifth, rotate through first position into fifth. Really important. Good. Go through first into fifth. Pull that heel forward for me, Mason. Go forward, yes. Go forward. Get taller up on your standing leg. Just go back. Up, yes. That's it, good. All right, good. Now let's talk about tendu to the back. So feel free to face the bar, put 2 hands on the bar, that's perfectly fine. We're going to do tendu to the back. Okay, now if we had tendu to the front, and the heel moved first to go out, and the toe moved first to come in, what do you think happens when we do tendu to the back? What moves first? Toe moves first, and then the heel moves first to come in, okay? So what I want to see from this fifth position is that, again, we're rotating into the floor, toes are moving away from this fifth position, and then going out to the tendu back. Show me that. Good. Okay, Georgia, do it again. The line of your leg is very nice, but I want to see toes move a little bit more in that movement out into the tendu. Yes, that's good. Very nice. What more understanding? Don't let that go. So, guys, every time we do a tendu, every time we move away from our standing leg with our working leg, the working leg, or the standing leg, has to be working almost as much, if not more, than your leg that's doing the tendu. So you can't let that rotation go in the leg that you're standing on. If I go and do a tendu and I go like this, I've lost all the connection in this leg. This leg has to be thinking, rotate as much as I can, and then holding that, keeping that rotation, and then rotating more to close into that fifth position. Okay, so everything, both legs, it's like barbershop poles, but they're twisting in opposite directions. That's what creates stability in ballet. Okay, so if you think about it, it's that rotation in opposite directions of both legs at the same time that's going to create the strength of your movement. That doesn't mean you have to be flat turned out. Doesn't mean you need to be standing like this, because that's also not right, because most of that's coming from my ankles. But it needs to be naturally rotated from the hips the entire time, creating that connection through the glutes as we do movement. Okay, so show me those tendus to the back again. Stand a little bit more to that, stand a little more. That's it. Let's cross this a bit more. So in this position, I'd like to have that back with your foot, and now pull your hips forward. So this hip is going to come forward. That's it. Stretch your knee. Yeah. Okay, so that's the line of the leg up forward. So you're extending the knee a bit more to that. Keep working, girls. All right, so Misty, when you do that tendu out to the back, we can't let the heel come up at the back. So the toe goes for come back to fifth. I want your toe to move first. So your heel doesn't move until your toe has passed it. Let your toe go past your heel. That's it. And now point all the way, and now your heel is going to come down and close into fifth position. Ah, there we go. Now we're getting some good movement in that tendu. Okay? I know it's a lot harder to do this. Miller, make sure that when you get to that tendu at the back, that your heel doesn't point up towards the ceiling. It should be pointing to the red door behind you. Yeah, that's better. Good. Okay. All right, girls. So coming back to fifth position, like we're going to do a tendu to the front now, but your front foot is just going to lift up into coup de pied. So we're starting like this, and we're lifting that front foot into coup de pied. And then bringing it back down. So remember we talked about tendu. What was the first thing that moved when we went to the front? Heel? Heel. So what's the first thing that has to move forward when we come into coup de pied? Heel? Yeah, heel. Watch. So if I'm in this position, I'm not going to go this way, because that's going to create an ugly foot. Very, very turny in hips. I'm going to go heel first, coming to the front. Okay, so my foot is creating a nice shape into that coup de pied. So my heel pushes forward, just like it would if I was doing a tendu, except instead of going out to the tendu, my foot comes up into coup de pied. So it's the same rotation through that leg. This standing leg is rotating towards the bar, and the other leg is rotating out into a coup de pied. Okay, show me that. That's better. Okay, now make sure, girls, when we're doing this, that we don't want to let our hips rotate as well. Okay, so I'm not going this way to make that happen. This is staying to the front, and I'm just rotating the knee open. Better. Okay, so do that again. Come back down. So, in this position, this heel is going to come forward into that position. Now your toes are going to come back down. Heel stays forward, heel stays forward, heel stays forward. Makes sense? Keep working. Let's do this again. Keep going, girls. Show me. Now, the other thing I want you to think about is when we come up, the toes have to finish off that movement with a flick. So as we get heel coming forward, and then we flick the toes into the coup de pied. So imagine that you're at the beach, which I'm sure everyone would love to be right now. Or not. And then you flick that sand across with your toe. That's it. It creates the dynamic of the lift of the foot into the coup de pied. That's it. And Misty, make sure that that foot doesn't escape out to the side. It has to stay right on the ankle the entire time. Aiming for your pinky toe to be sitting against the ankle bone right here of the other foot. Okay, so it's very closely connected. All right, now from there, what do you think we need to do to lift the leg up? We have to lift from the hip, but we also have to rotate. Okay, so I can't just go like this. Then my knee is to the front, isn't it? It's not out to the side. Okay, so let's go like this. We're going to go coup de pied, and then I want you to keep rotating as we bring our leg up to retiré. Okay, go ahead and show me. That's it. Good. Now take your hand off the bar. So make sure that when we're on the bar, girls, okay, so the tendency is going to be now because we're working so much on rotation. When you take your hand off the bar, you're going to go this way. So what I want you to also think, remember I said at the very beginning when we were standing like this, to be lifting up our belly button and laying that foundation directly on top of that. So if I'm now going like this, and I'm rotating and I'm going like this to try and keep that rotation, I've lost that connection here in my core. So I have to also be thinking as I'm rotating that this is getting higher and the energy is extending down into the floor through that standing leg. Okay, so rotate through coup de pied and lift that leg up into retiré. That's it. Go again. Up through coup de pied, rotating into retiré. There it goes. Now where would our arm normally be? If we get to retiré, where would your arm normally be? In first position. Okay, so there's a connection. There's a connection between our belly button and our fingers and our elbow. Yeah? Kind of creates a triangle. All right, so what we're also going to talk about as we come into center in about half an hour. Yes, we've got still another half an hour at the bar. What we're going to talk about is the triangle and the shape of the triangle, because that's really important in the aesthetic of extensions and how they look. Okay? But first, what we need to get is that nice retiré. So bring that leg all the way up into retiré, and your arms are going to be one arm on the bar, one arm in first position. Let's just get there. Up into retiré, find that position, rotating through the leg. Good. Now we should have rotation in three points of the leg. So we should have rotation in the ankle, we should have rotation in the shin, we should have rotation in the thigh and the hip. All right, so thigh and hip is 1, shin is 2, ankle is 3. There's 3 points that we have to rotate. If we've got rotation in the knee is turned out, but we've got this position, then we're not fully rotating the leg. Yeah, so the heel has to pull forward, the shin has to rotate on top of that, and then the hip and the knee have to rotate and open on top of that. Yeah. So just show me that. So just come up into retiré. Now from there, if we're opening out to the front, in the développé to the front, what would be the first thing that has to move? The heel, if we're opening. But there's a little bit of a trick when it comes to a développé. Yes, we want the heel to open first, but we also have to lift the knee. Okay, because we can't just go from here, heel forward, and out, because what that's going to do is lower our leg. So the knee has to lift up as the heel comes forward into attitude. Okay, so this is where the hip flexor comes in. We're flexing at the hip to lift our knee higher, and then we're keeping that rotation that we had in the leg as we bring the leg out to attitude front. All right, so let's just do that. So just bring your leg up to retiré. And then I want you to continue to rotate as you lift your knee higher, and then extend that leg out into attitude. And hold it there for a second. Not with your hands, Mason. Hold it with your muscles. There we go. Now I want you to turn out more. So lift your heel higher, up, 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 up. And then you're going to extend your foot higher than your knee. That's it. And then you're going to lift higher before you put it down. Oh, we're going to do it again. Starting coup de pied. You're going to have sore hips after today, girls, but it's good for you. It's how we get stronger. So you're going to lift up into coup de pied. You're going to lift the knee up, rotating up to retiré. And we're going to open that knee up, and then the heel is coming forward. Toes are staying back. And from there, you're going to extend the leg so that the foot goes higher than the knee. And then as that foot goes higher than the knee, you lift higher again, and then we tendu. And then the toes close first into fifth position. Okay, so that's how we do our développé to the front. Lift the knee, extend higher than the knee, good, tendu, and close. Now there's a little bit of a trick when we go to the front. Maybe you girls can help me with this, because I don't have the flexibility that you have anymore. So Elin, can you so stand a little bit more this way, and just do a développé to the front for me. Okay, now, stay there. In this position, lean back slightly. There. Arm in second position. Okay, so now, pull the sit back. Drop the shoulder. Okay, so now we have an opposition between your head and your foot. Yeah, so this head lift. So if we draw this triangle from here to here and then back to the hip, you can see that there's a nice aesthetic of that line. Now come back to where we were. Not as interesting, is it? All right, so as we go here, the higher that leg goes, the more we have to offset it with our back. Okay, so we can't lift the leg and just hope to keep this perfectly square position. It's going to look really weird. Now, the higher the leg goes, the more extension we have to have through our thoracic, through our upper back, in order to offset the line of the leg. It doesn't mean that we're bending necessarily to the side, we'll get there, but what I want to do is lift up, control with the abdominals, and the higher that leg goes, the more offset you have with your upper body. All right, so really important for jumps later on as well. Yeah? So just show me that développé to the front again, girls, and really work on finding the balance between your upper body and your leg. That's much better. I'm not sure which one that is, Lily or Sophia, but whoever just did that in the light blue, that was very nice. Yes, girls, much better. Okay. Does that feel easier? Yeah, does that feel like you're not straining as much to get the leg up? Yeah. A little bit more, please. You can lean back slightly. That's it, very nice. Good. Okay. Good. All right. So we've still got two more directions to work on. We still have to work on the side and the back. Okay. So let's go coup de pied again. You can go on the other leg if you want, so you're not always working on the same leg. We're going to lift that leg up into coup de pied. And then we're going to rotate the leg up into retiré. And then from there, the knee is going to go much higher. But we don't want the hips to tilt. So it's just the knee, not the pelvis. That's it. And then from there, wherever that knee is, the foot is going to extend up past the knee. Good. And then coming down and closing. Okay? Now, who's feeling like they've got a lump in their hip that they can't quite get the leg over? Does anyone feel like that? Like it's like, oh, I just can't get that leg up any higher, it's stuck. All right, so if that's happening, let's look at the hip joint and how that works. So by rudimentary hip joint, tape and stick, okay? So imagine this is your hip joint, and this is your femur, so the part of the leg that extends down from the hip. Now, if my hip is tilted, so if my pelvis is tilted like this, and I want to rotate that leg, it's going to be very hard, because it's stuck. It can't rotate. Versus if my hip is in a neutral position, the rotation that I can get from that stick, from that leg, is going to be much easier. Okay, so let's say, for example, I lift my leg up, and I'm in this position, and I lift my leg up, and I'm like this, and then I try to lift my knee higher, and I go that way. It's going to be very hard for me to extend. So what I want to find is that neutral position in my hip, where I can rotate as much as possible, and then from there, I'm continuing to rotate the leg as it goes above my hip, and then from there it continues to rotate up beyond that. That was much better data. Yeah, and your leg got a lot higher as well. Okay? Yes, Misty. Good. Okay, so have a look on basic here. Basic here, leg into right here. All right, so we have a pretty good position here, but I would like to see that. Yeah? And from there, what's going to happen is that this knee is going to lift up and rotate to there. Now extend to there. So not there. To there. Okay? If your arm is in second position. And then lifting up this part of your body too. Okay? So now we've got a nice line between your head, your arm, and your foot. Okay, cool. That's it. That way. Good. And hold that position. Very nice. On you. Okay? So what's happened here, when she first did it, she went a little bit this way. And we have to keep the pelvis not tucked, but lifted up. And the energy that's going out through that extension leg is the exact same energy that's going down into the ground. How much more energy did you feel now going into the floor through that standing leg? Because you had to hold this leg as much as you did. Okay? All right. Good, good, good. Now, what I want you to do, girls, put your arm out to the side for me. We're going to do it to all of you. Okay? For those of you who have someone there with you, or someone who can, get them to come and push on your arm. If you have someone that's there with you that can come and push on your arm, tell them to come push on your arm. It's pretty hard to hold up that arm if someone pushes on it, isn't it, for those of you who have someone there? Now put your arm up here. You have much more strength there, don't you? Yeah, so as that leg gets higher, all right, when your leg is straight out to the side, it's a lot heavier than when it's up here. Okay, so that, and look, that's just basic physics. The higher your leg gets, the easier it is to hold there. All right, because when it goes up, the closer it gets to this line, so this is the joint, yeah, and this is the weight. So the closer that weight is to the joint in relation of vertical space, easier it is to hold. The farther that weight extends out away from the joint, the harder you have to work to hold that leg. Okay, so if you're able to extend that higher, it will be easier. Now there's a limitation to this as well, girls. We don't want to just go flat up to our heads, because that's not aesthetically pleasing. Right? The name of this workshop was Aesthetic Extensions. Okay, we want it to look good too. Good. Very good. So have a rest. Alright, so when we lift the leg, and this is really important, it needs to create a triangle line in relation to our head. That's it. So if it goes too high, we're going straight up here, we lose what's called the classical aesthetic. Alright, so who's seen that old Leonardo da Vinci painting of the man who's standing, he's got his arms out like this, this, and this, and then he's got three different leg positions? If not, ask your parents to show you the Vitruvian Man later. Okay? There's a painting that demonstrated the aesthetics of the human body. Right? If we go at triangle increments, it's much more aesthetic than if we don't. And if you think about ballet for a second, let's do we'll do a tongue out to the side and look at that triangle. We have a straight line down, line between our feet, and then it creates a triangle with our pelvis. If we go out to the side, again, we have a triangle coming in, down, and again from the foot to the foot. Okay, if we go up to here, again, we've got another triangle, but now the triangle is in relation to our head and our upper body. If I go straight up above my head like this, I've lost that triangle. It's not interesting anymore. Yeah? For those of you who are here in the room, you can see on some of the pictures, if we look at the triangles, maybe you guys can see as well. Not sure if it's going to work, but if you look at this picture, for example, there's a triangle between her head, her foot, and her hips. I don't know if everyone can see. Just bring this over here, and maybe you can do it that way. Okay, so can you see in this picture the relationship of the triangle between her head, her foot, and her hips? It creates a nice triangle line. Now, if her leg had been up here, we wouldn't have had the same relationship. It would have been a less aesthetically pleasing photo. All right? There's also a relationship between my head and her foot. If my head had been too low, it wouldn't have looked as nice. All right? So triangles are really important. Now, come on over here while we're having a rest. Come on, guys. And have a look at this picture. All right, so in this one, you can see that there is a triangle there, but this foot has extended above her headline. All right, and if I were to draw a straight line down from her leg all the way down, it actually crosses my line. Whereas where it should have been, to create a nice aesthetic, would have been more like that. So that the foot would have been directly in line with my front knee, and this foot would have also been here. Okay, now aesthetically, it's not terrible, but we lose the connection in the line of the leg. All right, so when we're doing our développés, let's come back. When we're doing our développés, it's really important to make sure that our aesthetic keeps a nice triangular shape when we're doing that movement, okay? So show me again, let's do one more développé to the side, and then we'll talk about développés to the back. That's very nice, Daisy. Good, now Misty, as you do that, make sure that you continue to turn out your standing leg. Don't let that hip turn in. Okay, so as you're lifting that, keep turning out. Both legs are rotating in opposition to each other. Lift the knee up, more, and extend from there. Yes, that was better. Good. All right, girls, let's talk about développé to the back now. So we have to talk about first, before we even do développé to the back, we have to talk about our coup de pied to the back. All right, so this is a unique position. Now, how do we start? If we're moving from fifth position, how do we start to get into a coup de pied to the back? Yes, Daisy?
The toes?
Toes. So what does that look like? Do I just kind of lift my toes, or what has to happen first? Rotation away from the standing leg, exactly, okay? So if I'm standing in this fifth position, show me even, so go to fifth position for me. Now what is the first thing that's going to move is the toes. Nope. So come back here. In this position, what's going to happen, this is going to be standing, this is that way. And these toes are going to pull away from you, away from the foot, as you bend your knee and bring it into. Okay, so we can't just go that way, because what's going to happen is you're going to get sickle position in the foot. You want to have that position in the foot. Okay, so bring it back down again. So from your toes go away, wrapping around into that coup de pied position. And now our Achilles, our ankle, is attached at the other ankle. So we're not in this position in a coup de pied back, here. Because then, let's say we went to coup de pied front, it's exactly the same position, nothing has changed. If I go here, something has to change. So it's the ankle that's attached. Okay, so just show me that movement. So from fifth position, rotating the leg, rotating the toes away into your coup de pied back. That's it, Georgia, good. Show me, girls. Okay. So we're going to start this way. And I don't want you to be here. Going to this position. Because then if you go up the leg, already turned out there. Does that make sense? Whereas if I started here, you're going to get there. Or it goes there. So coming to fifth position. Good child, so this position is first. Into that position there. All right, show me again, girls at home. Rotating through the back of that leg, toes coming away from the foot, that's it. Good, now as we draw that line up the back of the leg, the ankle is staying attached until we get to the retiré where the leg is going to move open and you're staying behind your knee, so we're not going to the side. The foot is staying behind the knee, toes are attached at the back of the knee. So lift higher up. There we go. Good, so now we're in retiré. Now what has to open first into our arabesque? The knee has to open first. So the knee opens, the knee starts to move before the foot can leave the leg. And then we have to lift that up to attitude and then extend that leg beyond the foot beyond the knee. That's it. Good. All right, so who's heard of the 4 points on our body? Everyone's heard of the 4 points on the body, right? Two shoulders and 2 hips. Okay, I'm going to add another 2 points. We've got 2 more points. So now we've got shoulders, we got hips, we got ribs. Okay, we need to be able to isolate the ribs and the shoulders from the hips. And who thinks that they can keep their hips perfectly square and have a nicely turned out arabesque line to the back? Can anyone do that? Not many people can. Maybe Georgia might be able to. She's got pretty mobile arabesque. Can you keep your hips perfectly square and keep your leg turned out, Georgia? Show us. Let's see. Now even Georgia has to open her hips slightly. Okay? So, all right, so when we do this, we have to make sure that if we're letting our hip open a little bit, then we're not also twisting the rest of our body. Okay, so I want you to think as this knee opens, yes, the knee can open, but this rib has to shift forward in order to counterbalance, like we did with the position devant, has to counterbalance that leg opening up to the back. That's it. We also don't want to let ourselves lean towards the standing leg. So you want to keep lifting up on the side that's closest to the bar while the rib cage shifts forward. Doesn't mean that we're leaning forward from the back, we're just shifting the rib cage. Okay, show me again. Girls. Pull your standing hip forward, Nancy. Good, and now rotate from the hip more, that's it. Now I want you to lift the knee up, that's it, good, and extend without twisting your shoulders. There we go, that's it. That's well. All right, so who wants to be my demonstrator? Nancy, okay. Face me, away from, there we go. Okay, so on basic, we have shoulder blades and glutes. Okay, if we look at the body, this shoulder blade and this glute connect, and this shoulder blade and this glute connect. So when we do any type of what's called hip extension, remember this was hip flexion, this is hip extension, okay, where it goes behind us. Anytime we do hip extension, we have to use the glute to lift the leg. So we're not sinking into the low back to lift. We're squeezing with this, and that's causing our leg to lift up. Okay, so Mason, what I want you to do is you're going to lift your leg up into retire. Good. Now I want you to squeeze your glute as you lift your knee up into the that's it, good. Now lift higher, extend, 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 keep squeezing your glute, keep squeezing your glute, and now push down on your lats. Yes. Okay, did you see how when she did that, she get connection in her back that allowed her to stand a little bit? So that feels stronger when you push down? Yeah. Okay, so your arabesque position, girls, even when you're at the bar, yes, we want to have a light touch on the bar, but we also want to be pushing a connection in our back that will hold in relation to this glute, lifting the leg. Ah, that's better. Yeah. Yep, lift up a little bit more on your left side, Daisy, so it doesn't tilt towards the bar. I'm not tilting. We're keeping that side up, pushing down with the left. Ah, there we go. That's better. Yes, that's getting better, girls. Show me again, Misty. Now open the knee for, come back, Misty, come back, Misty, come back to retire. Good, now I want you to open the knee first, but keep your foot attached to the leg. That's it, now lift higher, so your knee goes up, 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 keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now extend the leg beyond that point, don't let it turn in. Yes, that's good. That's your arabesque movement, okay? Asha, it looks pretty nice, can you show me one more time? Lifting up, lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. Good, good, good. Yes. Very nice. Good. Good, girls. Good, Georgia. All right, so arabesque looks really good. All right, take a 5-minute break, guys, and then we'll come back and we'll get into the center work. Grab some water, grab a towel, have a little rest. There's a lot of work for 1 hour. How you guys feeling? Yeah. It's harder in the center, so. That was the easy part of the workshop. We still had the bar. How's everyone's hips feeling so far? Okay, good. Not too sore? A little bit sore? Have you ever spent this much time on tendus and retires? No? If you were to guess, guys, what do you think the most important 2 steps are in ballet? Daisy already knows, but I've told her before. Anyone else? Anyone other than Daisy and Georgia, because they know. Take a guess, Asha. Take yourself off of me.
Tendus and plies.
I think I've told you too, haven't I? All right. Yeah, tendus and plies. Okay, because they're the 2 steps that everything is based off of. Yeah, so look at this, for example, before we start doing any more work, because this is going to help as well as we go. So if I do a plie, like this, and then I were to bring my leg up, like this, I'm in attitude, right? I just have to point my foot, right? I do the same thing to the back, plie, and I bring my leg up like this. I'm in attitude. So a demi-plie is basically the same position as an attitude. Now let's say I go into grand plie, and then I were to bring the same position of the foot to here. So my retiré is the same movement as grand plie. It's exactly the same position. We're already training our retiré position in a grand plie. Just doing some exercise. All right, and now if I do a tendu, let's say I go tendu out to the front, this line is the same as jeté, as grand battement, right? And then let's say I go arabesque, it's the same thing, tendu, lift, lift, lift. So if you can perfect the line of the leg in the tendu, your line is going to be perfect as you go to jeté, as you go to the higher jeté, as you go all the way to grand battement. Okay? So getting that quality in the two basic movements, plie and tendu, is the most important thing. If you're not spending a lot of time on plies and tendus, your other stuff is probably not there either. Okay? So work on plies, work on tendus, they're really, really important. Good, all right, let's come to the center. Now, hands up, who's RID? Normally. Anyone else, any other syllabus? ATOT, CPSD? Anyone forgotten about? Just me? A little bit even. Okay. All right, so I'm going to work predominantly in the Vaganova method because that's what I was trained in. But it's not going to be that much different for RID and other styles. Know that around the world, most companies are probably going to work with the Vaganova basis as opposed to anything else. So if you're not training in Vaganova, that's okay, but be open to what they teach because it's predominantly what you're going to get around the world, most places. Right? If we go and let's say we're standing in our center position. So just relax for a second, stand in your center position. Now this is important for aesthetics. Okay, and you're facing straight on to your front. Take this as the front today. So straight on. So as we're standing here, and I bring my right arm up to the front, and I'm going to turn towards my right shoulder. So this first wall that I'm pointing at is wall number 1. Then I go to the corner, and we're at corner number 2. So turning towards your right arm. Okay, and then we go to the next wall, that's wall 3. Go to the next corner, corner 4. Wall 5, corner 6, wall 7, corner 8. Okay, so we have 4 walls and 4 corners. The walls are 1, 3, 5, and 7. The corners are 2, 4, 6, and 8. And now this is important because the alignment of our body in our 3-dimensional space is very much aligned with those triangular positions. So the 2 corners and the 2 walls, and the 2 corners and the 2 walls. And so if we are aligning our body, so let's say we're standing straight onto the front, whether we're in first position, second position, third position, fourth position, or fifth position, and we're straight to the front, so our hips and our shoulders are facing directly to the front. We are standing in what's called en face. All right, so if someone says to you stand en face, hips and your shoulders straight to the front, straight to wall number 1. Okay? Now let's say I turn to corner number 8. And I put my right leg in front. And my hips and my shoulders are facing that corner. I'm now in, anyone know? Macy? Croisé. Right, if I swap and I put my left leg in front, Macy? Effacé. Okay? So ouvert would be an open position. It would be open like this. Or like that. It's an ouvert position. Okay? Effacé. The reason why it's effacé is because if I bring my arm up, so this would be a full effacé line. If I bring my arm up and you imagine out there is a spotlight shining down in your face because you're all performing on a beautiful stage somewhere, but your arm is up here, it's casting a shadow. Effacé means shaded. So it creates a shaded line. Right? So that's where that term comes from. We can also do effacé and quasi on the other side. So if we turn down to corner number 2, we have our left leg in front. We're in quasi. We put our right leg in front. We're in effacé. Does anyone know the origins of upstage and downstage? We've all been on stage before, right? Everyone's been on stage, you've all performed at some point. Yes? Does anyone know why they call this way downstage and that way upstage? Okay, yes. Well, yeah, but does anyone know the actual reason why it's up and why it's down? Daisy.
Does it have anything to do with break stages?
It absolutely does. Okay, so many years ago, and actually still in some theaters in Europe, the opera houses were built so that the seating area was flat. It wasn't at this angle, right? So in order to be able to see what was going on stage, they had to do that with the stage. And so if you walked up stage, you were actually literally walking up. So it was on an angle, like you were walking up a hill. It wasn't that much, but it was enough that you felt like you were walking up stage. And as you came back down, it meant that you were walking down stage. Now imagine this. Let's say, for example, that Macy and I are having a conversation on stage. We're doing the ballet line. And let's say that I go like this. And now Macy has to turn to me to continue having a conversation. I have now done what's called upstaging Macy. Because in order for her to continue to communicate, you guys don't get to see her anymore, but you get to see me. Yeah? So if you ever hear that term, I've upstaged you, that's where that comes from. It's because you've gone upstage, you've taken all of the focus off of that other person and put it all onto you. Right? It's a little bit of a cool technique to use in performance to get the attention off of someone else. Don't do it. It's not very nice. All right? Normally you try and stay at the same level as the other person, but that's a little bit of inside ballet and theater information. Okay? So the reason why that's important is because if I now go into my 5th position, instead of saying my right leg or my left leg, what I can say is, because I'm in quasi, I can say my downstage leg and my upstage leg. It's going to be a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, because you'll know, depending on where you are, which one is downstage, which one is upstage. Does that make sense? So your downstage one is the closest one to the front of the room. Your upstage leg is the closest one to the back of the room. All right? Now, why is that important? Because we're going to talk about all of the different arabesque lines. All right? Everyone loves arabesque. Who loves arabesque? So, how many arabesques do we have? Anyone want to guess? Not in RAD in Regano. Does anyone know? How many we have in Regano? 6 arabesques? No, we have 4. 4 arabesques. Okay? So we have first arabesque, second arabesque, third arabesque, and 4th arabesque. We don't have a name for this one. I know that's third in RAD. We don't have a name for that. So, why do we have those 4 arabesques? So, this is the first arabesque because it's an open, so this is an effacé line. Okay, so you're standing on your upstage leg, and this is your downstage leg as an arabesque. Your arm is an extension of your first position. Okay, so if your arm is in first position, bring one arm into first and one arm into second. What would be the third position arm for RAD? Okay, and then you're going to extend your front arm out to the front, and then your side arm out to the side. So it's a very square position. We're not opening too much yet. Keep that square. Okay, so your hips and your shoulders are facing the front, facing this corner. So you're facing to corner number 2 for now. Your arm is in line, and your other arm is in line. And then your standing heel is also flat to that corner as much as possible. Okay? So that's your arabesque position. Now if we lift this leg, so we start to lift the leg up, what has to happen is that this has to shift forward. This arm has to come slightly more open and create that line. Okay, so now there's a connection between the foot and the hand. If I were to take Macy to the side, you can see the line of her hand and the line of her foot. If I do a straight line across, there's a straight line there. And that's from here all the way across her shoulders, all the way to the sides. Yeah? So we're creating that straight line from our hand to our foot. So we don't want to go that way. It's a stylized arabesque, it's separate. It's if you're doing swan lake or something like that. There's a reason why you do that, right? So a normal first arabesque, unstylized, the hand is at the height of the nose. Your middle finger is at the height of your nose, and your other arm is straight out from your shoulder. The reason why this is important is because as soon as we drop this line, which is what, if you go on Instagram and you look at any arabesque right now, you're going to see this. I guarantee it. The reason why that's a problem is because you've lost the connection here. Okay, so as we lift this leg, this arm stays, and we create that line, not that line. Does that make sense? Now, the higher your leg goes, it will eventually cross the line of your arm, but not because your arm goes down, it's because your leg goes higher. All right, so let's check these arabesque lines. So just show me your first arabesque right now. So you're facing to corner number 2, and you're going to lift your leg up. Now, who remembers from the bar how we need to lift our leg into arabesque? From our foot? What lifts the leg? This one. No. Yes, Daisy.
The rotation?
Rotation, yes, but what's causing the rotation? Where are our external rotators? What part of the body? Yes, Asha.
Is it the knee
Not the knee, higher up.
or the
Glutes?
Yeah, it's the glute. Okay, so you have to lift from here. This lifts the leg. You're trying to keep this part of the body as straight as possible until it gets above 45 degrees, and then we can start to slightly shift forward with our rib cage. Now, come here. We're going to fix this a little bit, okay? So go into your arabesque line. There. That's a much nicer arabesque. You see how much more lifted she looks in that arabesque than when she was there? Right? That creates the line. Now, if you bring this arm this way, okay? So relax, relax. A little bit more long fingers. Good, slightly below the shoulder. Now, the higher this leg goes, as we lift this leg higher, then the arm can cross the line of the leg. But until we get there, it stays there. It stays in a parallel line. Now, as we dance, so hold the leg. As we dance, we can start to open that line up. But it's not because the arm is dropping, it's because the shoulders are opening slightly. Okay, so we're not moving the arm behind us, opening the shoulders into the arabesque. Does that make sense? Show me, girls. Show me. Go into the arabesque line. Punch back. Daisy, lift your side arm higher, a little bit higher. Yep. Asha, lift your side arm a little bit higher as well. Yeah? It's a little bit too low. It drops. Yeah, that's better. So now while we're doing this, girls, we also want to make sure that our neck doesn't get shorter. So we're lifting that arm, but we're not going this way. We're keeping as much distance between our shoulders and our neck as possible. Okay, so the neck gets longer, we lift up, and then we want to create a square chin. So it's this way, not that way. Now you'll often see, if you now you're all going to go look at Instagram too, and you're going to see all your photos, and you're going to see this. Yeah? Keep that neckline long from the back of your neck, and then the chin can lift, but not. Show me, girls. Pull your chin forward, Asha. Pull your whole back forward. Whole back forward. More. Forward. Pull your chin forward. Like stick your chin out. There we go. That's the line. Good. Now, Jada, when you do that, make sure that your hip is straight when you start. Okay, so from this tendu, we don't want to be here already. We want to keep this line as straight as possible, and then the leg lifts up, and then we can shift our rib cage forward, not our hip changes. That's better. Yes. Good. Takes practice, guys. It's going to take time to get this, but the information is coming through. Okay? Good. How are we feeling with first arabesque? Good. Good. Now let's go to second arabesque. So second arabesque generally goes to wall number 3. It's not usually done to a corner. We usually do second arabesque straight across the stage. All right, so that's where the difference is between a first and a second. We're not usually going to go this way because we lose this arm. It gets stuck. And so this way even, we can have a little bit more of a connection there. Or we can do that. And it becomes more about that arm coming through into the second arabesque, or even that way, than it does about going that one, which kind of ends up doing something like that. And so it's very rare that you're ever going to get a second arabesque that's done on a diagonal line. Usually it comes straight across. And predominantly, you're going to find the second arabesque is done in more romantic ballets. So things like Giselle, La Sophie, Ballet. Because it creates an old-fashioned, more old-fashioned line. Right. And who knows? Who's seen ballets like Giselle and La Sophie? Yeah. Who knows why the line of the body is like this? Anyone know? Miss Daisy.
The corsets?
Corsets. Okay, so when you would wear a corset, they're made of bone originally. So when it was tied very tight, the body was usually, if you stood upright, you couldn't breathe. You had to go forward in order to be able to breathe. And so you see all those old ballerina photos and they kind of look like this. The reason why is not because they wanted to look like they were hunched over, but they actually couldn't stay upright. And so it created a whole style of movement that looked kind of like this, because they had to bend forward in order to have that line. We don't have to do that anymore because we've been able to make tutus without corsets. Okay? So we can try and keep that upright unless you're dancing a ballet that is stylized like Giselle or La Sophie, where we're trying to create that kind of movement. Okay, so it's specialized for that type of movement. All right? So second arabesque tends to be very much in that quality. Yeah? So it's not usually going to be very upright. Normally we're going to have slightly more tilt in the upper body, which differentiates the second arabesque from the first arabesque. Good, so far, those two arabesques, first and second, have both been in which line? Take a guess. Is it en face, effacé, or croisé? No guess. Croisé. Giving two more. It's either effacé or en face. Effacé. Okay, so we've been in an effacé line for all so far because an effacé line, our upstage leg is in front. Does that make sense? So the upstage, closest one up there, it's in front of the other leg. Whereas if we were in croisé, our downstage leg would be in front. Alright, so now if we go into third arabesque. So third arabesque in Vaganova, not RAD, but in Vaganova, you're going to be like this. So you've got your same arm as leg, as if it was to be in the second arabesque, but you've turned to your croisé line. So let's get our left leg tendu to the back, and our left arm up into an arabesque line, and then lift into arabesque. So now you can really see how much you're tilting. Because if you start to go this way, and you're unable to stand, you know how much you've been bending over when you're doing your first arabesque. Alright, so when you do your third arabesque, you really have to push down on this side, but not lean towards that side. So you're keeping a connection here as you lift that side up. Oops, sorry. As you lift that side up against your foot. Okay, show me yours. That's it. So pull the other side back. This side forward and that side back. There we go. this side. That's it. Lifting from here. Yes, good. Keep trying those. That's it, Georgia. Good. Jada, just cross your leg a little bit more behind you so we can see it. There we go. And now lift from there. That's it. That's a very nice line. Good. All right. Show me. Arm in front of you. Arm, not the leg. There we go. Okay, so the same thing applies, girls, when we're in our third arabesque. If I was to bring this en face to my camera, I'm going to bring this hand is going to be directly in line with my nose. And then a straight line from the back of that, it's going to be my foot. So that foot and hand are in this alignment, not that way. Creates like a slight dip or like a bowl with the legs, or again, that kind of triangular V shape. Yeah, that's what we're trying to create. That creates a very nice, beautiful line, and it creates freedom, that freedom of arabesque line where it looks like it just can continue going forever. All right. Now here's one of the keys about extensions, and it's really important. Everyone listen to this, yeah? One of the keys about extensions is that you need to be able to lift your leg high, but you don't always have to lift it high. Does that make sense? So it doesn't always mean that your extension has to be up here, even though you can do that. You need to be able to hold it here, and here, and here, and here with the same control at each level. All right, so what you're working towards is not necessarily, oh, I just want to get higher, 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 higher. What you're working towards is control at whatever extension you choose to put your leg at. All right, so I want you to think about it this way. I remember I was in a rehearsal once with a French choreographer by the name of Pierre Lecotte. And he said to the La Sophie, the girl who was rehearsing La Sophie, it's your choice. Everything you do on stage, every movement you make, every pique you go into, every time you lift your leg, it is your choice where you're putting your leg. Don't let your leg choose for you. You choose when to step into that pose, and you choose how high that leg goes. And when you have that control of, yes, when I go here, that leg just goes to that point, and I'm not going to lift it anymore. Oh, but maybe I will just a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it down. That's what makes it look like you're in control of your body. And that's what's so beautiful about ballet, is being in control of your body. Okay? It's not necessarily about going out there and going, look at me, I can lift my leg, and I'm going to do this. Right? Because that's not interesting. Yeah? If I can go like this, that's much more interesting. I didn't go high, but I lifted my leg just at the very end, oh, a little bit more, and then I came down. Being in control is much more important than the height of the leg, and that's what makes your extension very beautiful. Yeah? Show me yours. Just step into an arabesque, control it, know exactly where that leg is going to go, control it. Okay, that was it, Georgia. Good. All right, so knowing exactly where your leg is going to go. Put it at 45 degrees, put it at 90, it doesn't matter. I want to see where, you know exactly where it is, and then you step down. That was it. Okay, so we've talked about first arabesque, we've talked about second arabesque, we've talked about third arabesque, let's talk about the hardest arabesque, fourth arabesque. Who thinks they can have a nice fourth arabesque? A nice fourth arabesque? You know, show me, this one. Just on one. Okay, so let's talk about this. So your fourth arabesque one is going to be towards corner number 8. So shift more. Turn out your back leg. To here. And this line is going to be there. I lift that leg up. And shift your body forward. That's it. So you're creating an extension of that. Okay, so if we had a proper camera on it, it would look better on the screen. All right. So, girls, what we're trying to do with this fourth arabesque is create that line. So it's a twist through your back. Your whole back is twisting, and your upstage arm should be seen behind you. We also have to make sure, Daisy, that shoulder doesn't lift up this way. We're going to keep the shoulder down. That's it. Okay, so it's a diagonal in the arm line. That's it. Okay, so the other thing in relation to triangles is diagonals. We have to know our diagonals. Okay, so this, the diagonal of the arm. Also, the diagonal of the arm, not that guy. That's it. Very nice. Good. Shoulder down. And then turn out. Stand. Not just stand like lower your arm a little bit. Other way. That's it. And chin up. So looking towards your hand. So that position up there. So then you pull your ribcage up. Yes. Good. And bring your shoulder down. So the fourth arabesque is the hardest line to get because of the amount of rotation it takes for your body. Right? You're not in a square position anymore. You're actually rotated open. Now, so if I was to do this in a first arabesque line, it kind of looks that way. It smells. Right? You're never going to do it that way. It's that fourth arabesque quasi line to create a rotation through the back. Good. So that's arabesques. That's all of the arabesques. All right. Now we have to talk about our écartés. Okay, so we've got écarté devant and we have écarté derrière. That's it. Devant and derrière. All right. Now, traditionally, I'm going to get out the book and I'm going to show you guys. Traditionally, écarté was a very tilted position. Have a look how tilted écarté used to be. Okay, so that's the original diagrams that were done by Agrippina Berganova back in the 1930s. All right, so, but you can see the square, right? Like you see the square of the room and all the walls and the corners, all right? So what you're trying to do with these écarté lines, it's hard to see in a two-dimensional photo. But if I do an écarté, derrière, and I'm facing square on, I'm going to turn so that my toe is pointing up to corner number 4, and this foot is pointing to corner number 8. So I'm in a straight line across. Now at the same time, I'm going to tilt so that I create what's called the écarté. So if you were to see me en face, it would look kind of like that. Now as I do that développé, so let's say I were to do a développé off to the side, and I was to do écarté, that's why it looks like that. Not that. Does that make sense? So if you've ever seen someone who looks like they're slightly tilted in that line, it's because that's what creates the length and the triangle between your head and your foot. Does that make sense, guys? Now give it a try. Let's do a développé écarté. So derrière. So foot is pointing up stage to the back. So a little bit more, so make sure your body's facing to this corner. Whole body's facing to corner number 2. Good. And you're going to lift that leg up. You're going to tilt slightly. That's it. Give a little bit more tilt towards it. And you can lift your knee a little bit higher. All right, so the leg, okay, so in Georgia's case, Georgia, it's good, but I want you to get your leg a little bit more to the corner. It's a little bit too en face. So turn, there we go, yes. Now really open that foot up towards that mattress at the back of the room. There we go, that's a much nicer line. Okay? Good, much better. Now, where's our head, girls? Because the headline is really important as well. Where do you think your head should be looking? Where do you think your head should be looking? Yeah. But it's not just looking straight to corner number 8. It's also looking down over your arm. Okay, so I'm not just going like this. Looking this way. So if I'm looking right now, I'm looking at that purple block on the floor. To create a counter to my leg that's gone up. For those of you at home, that's a purple yellow block on the floor and you can't see it. Okay. So it's like you're looking down towards the corner of the stage. Okay. That's going to create the correct alignment for that position. So, that's a nice one. Okay, so that's derriere. And you can do it the other side. The other side is going to be exactly the same, except you're facing to corner number 8, your leg is facing up to corner number 6, and your toes are pointing towards corner number 2. Okay, so that's the alignment. This is why when we first came to the center, I broke down that square. Because everything has an alignment within the space. And your alignment within your space is what actually makes your aesthetic look good. Okay? So knowing your square, knowing where your corners are, knowing who you're performing to and how that line is created is what actually makes your leg look better. Okay? If you're not facing the right direction, or you're kind of like this somehow, it's going to look funny. Okay? All right, let's look at effacé devant. Sorry, écarté devant. Okay, so we're going to go lifting our leg up towards the front corner. So let's say you're facing the corner number 2. Sorry, yeah, corner number 2, your leg is going to go up to corner number 8. Now, in the same way that when we did it to the back, we leaned away from the leg, when we do it to the front, we lean in the opposite direction. So we're looking up towards the forearm, or we're leaning away from the leg that's going up. So lean more towards your left side, Daisy. That's it, Georgia. Good. So again, girls, as we're doing these développés, we have to be thinking not just about this leg, but also about this leg. So your standing leg is rotating just as much as your working leg is, and they're going in opposition. So as you lift that knee up, you're creating rotation through this standing leg as well, and then we're rotating into that développé. Miller, you could probably turn slightly less. Show me again, Georgia. That's much nicer. That was much better, Georgia, because your standing leg was rotated as well. So it wasn't pulling forward. Yeah? It's much better. Good. Keep working, girls. So basically, face. Pick up to your arm. There. Now do this way. It's not so forward, it's so straight. Yeah. So effacé devant is very difficult. Or écarté devant is very hard to find. We have to kind of lean away from the leg. Now there are times, girls, that your écartés will be stylized as well. For example, in La Bayadère, after you've done your 32 arabesques down the ramp. Who's seen La Bayadère? Anyone seen La Bayadère? Okay, so once you've done your 32 arabesque down the ramp, you run forward, and you have a 16 count développé de écarté devant, but your head goes here. The reason why is because you need to be able to see the lines. Okay, so they've done it stylized in order to make it look in uniform. Because if everyone looked to the front, you wouldn't know when anyone was going. This way you can see everyone around you by looking this way. Okay, so they've stylized it so that then when you come here, it all goes together. All right, so there will be times when your head goes in the opposite direction of what the actual technique is. And that's the beauty of ballet. You have to know the rules first before you can break them. All right, Chris. How's everyone feeling so far? A lot of information. Yeah. Grab some water, have a little bit of water, have a little rest. All right, so come on back. We've done our arabesques, we've done our écartés. Now we have to work on our devant position, so to the front in either effacé or croisé. Okay? So you're going to end up doing both at some point in your career. Just in all dances, you will do a devant in effacé and you will do a devant in écarté. I'm sorry, in croisé. All right, so croisé and effacé. Now, remember at the bar when I had Elin and I pulled her shoulders back. Yeah? As we do this développé, you have to slightly pull your shoulders back. Because if I'm going effacé and I'm lifting my leg out to the front and I go like this, it's going to be very hard to pull down. Okay, so let's just do a développé to effacé devant. So let's face to corner number 2 with your right leg front. Right leg front. Other right leg. There we go. And then you're going to développé up, and you're going to bring your arms into an RID 4 position. Okay. Pretty much everyone lifted their knee out first instead of rotating through the heel to extend. Take it back to what we did at the bar. Pull that heel forward, and then lift the knee up. But at the same time, don't lean forward, Daisy. Keep your leaning back. That's it, Georgia. Georgia, that was good. Now, Georgia, do that again. But when you lift out to the front, when you extend to the front, keep lifting up. Keep extending higher. That was it. Yep, yeah. Good. Good. That was better. So again, girls, check your lines. Okay, so it's easy for me to see it here in the room as opposed to what you guys are doing because I'm not in the room with you, so I can't see exactly whether you're in the right alignment. But basically, if we look at that, come here. If we go, this is your corner, right? So if we do this développé now, so go to fifth position with your right leg front. If we do développé here, you have to keep that alignment, so the knee can't be coming to the front. So now open the heel out and lean back into my hands, and open, lift your arm up. Good, shoulders down. That's it. And now extend that arm out to the side of the wall. And lift your wrist. That's it. Okay, so that's your effacé line. Because what was happening is this, and that's not going to be a front position. That's kind of somewhere between front and side. Okay, so here, you have to be thinking that we're continuing the same position, same alignment. Nothing has changed for my body. Now, I'm opening my heel, my knee is coming up, and I'm extending to that corner. It's very nice, man. Just work on finding that alignment, guys. It's not necessarily about getting your leg high right now. It's about making sure that the alignment stays the same throughout the entire movement. Never go, turn in. Turn out your leg as you extend. Ideally, girls, I'd be able to rest a cup of tea on your heel. Okay, so we shouldn't ever, the heel should never point towards the floor. That's it. Okay, so if we do. Who's feeling this in their quadriceps and in their hip flexors? Yeah? Good. That's where you're supposed to feel it. Okay? Think about it this way, girls. The only muscle in the body that can actually stretch your knee is your quadricep. So if your quadricep is not working, your knee will not be stretched. And you have to pull up the quadricep the whole time. If you're not doing squats or some sort of quadricep strengthening exercise where you're fully stretching your knees every time you finish out the squat, you're not improving your strength in your quadriceps. So ballet is going to be very difficult. Yeah? The shock absorption for your body when you land is in your thighs. It's in your quadriceps. So in order to be able to hold that and support yourself throughout a 2.5-hour ballet, your quadriceps, your hamstrings, all the muscles in your legs need to be strong, not just some of them. All right? And I can guarantee you, none of you will get bulky legs as a result of doing squats. It just won't happen. Now, you don't have the build of a man in order to do that. All right? And you still want to be strong. It's important. Right? And keep your knees healthy as well for the rest of your life if you do a certain amount of exercise outside of ballet to maintain strength. Now, all that being said, if you remember going back all the way back to the very first thing that we did in class when we sat down and we lifted that leg up, how difficult was that for everybody to be able to maintain their body forward and lift the leg up? Yeah? Now, obviously in ballet, we don't do that. We lean back as we lift the leg up in order to counterbalance the leg. Because number one, it's aesthetic, it looks better. But also number two, it makes it a little bit easier on our hip flexor. Okay? That being said, if you can lift your leg up and lean forward, being able to lift your leg up when you lean back is going to be so much easier. So if you've got that strength in your hip flexor to lift your leg, your ability to hold it there is going to be a lot better. Obviously, we're never going to do that. Yeah, you're not going to go this way. Unless it's, for example, there are some movements where we go like this. Yeah, but it's not the general kind of développé that we're going to do. Okay? So again, show me the other FSA. So your other leg. Same alignment, but the other leg. So it's nothing to do, just shift forward. Keep that, hold this, and this is going to extend to there. Yeah, so you've got a block in front of you, this is grounded. Now as you do the développé, and shift your hips. Lean back slightly. Right? Lean back too much. So same thing with the neck, keep this up. Keep this up, lengthen, that's it. And hold the arms up. That's it, lean back slightly. There, yep. There. Lean back slightly, so your arms are going to be. It's a disconnection with this foot. Does that make sense? This side, up to this side. Okay, so it's this position, girls. This side is growing, and this side is lifting up. So So it gets this way. And you can think about it as a twist around your spine. Okay, so your body is rotating around your spine. However, it's not going this way. This arm is never getting behind your back. So in order to create the opposition, yeah, my arm is still out to the side. But what's happening is in order to create that opposition, I have to rotate my shoulders. Okay, so that creates that lock into the position because I'm pushing down here, and as I lift up, that creates the line of movement. Okay, so why do you think this might be important, girls, this position especially, FSA? What jump do you think we do that this is important for? Daisy?
Cabriole?
Gabrielle, yeah? What else? Anything else?
I'm not sure what they're called, but
Yes, pas de basque.
yeah.
Okay, so pas de basque is also one that girls will do a lot, probably more than cabriole even. Generally, you'll do it more to croisé than you will to FSA. But basically what happens, and I've seen this happen many, many times in companies, is that a girl will do a jump, and because she's too straight, she lands and her knee goes this way. And then we end up with what Daisy had. Okay? So you don't want to end up with an ACL tear. That's not good for you. Okay? So, when you land, this is why the alignment is important, is that when you land, you have to keep this knee open in that landing. Now, the only way to do that is if you're leaning slightly back. If you're forward, that's going to happen. And the same thing is said for croisé. Yeah, if you're doing a croisé line, it's the same movement. You're still going to be slightly open. So your back lifts up and open, and the reason why is because that allows you to sit with an open knee in that landing position. Making sense so far, guys? Yeah? Why it's important? Okay? So I know we all think of extensions as like développé and adagio and whatnot, right? But your extensions go much farther than that. They go to your grand jetés. They go to even like grand jeté attitude. Yeah? That position, that attitude position is an extension. Your développé into a soda shop is an extension. Even side jetés, for example, in Swan Lake, in the Grand Pas in the third act, when she does the double jeté to the side, that's an extension. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we do a bit of stretching, specific for these extensions, is the energy that's coming out of your legs. All right, so this is probably the most important part of the whole day. All right, when you're stretching your leg, it's not just stretching your knee. All right, so what I want to do is everyone's going to sit down. Sit down. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pull the back of your knee to the floor. Okay, so what's going to happen for most of you, especially if you have extension, is this. You're pulling the back of your knee to the floor. Now, in that position, I want you to flex your feet, and I want you to try and extend your heels out past your toes. So you're pushing so much out through your legs that your heels are extending out to the opposite side of the wall. Now from that position, you're going to point your feet and continue that extension out through your toes. So all the energy that's in your legs is extending all the way out through your toes, and you're pulling the backs of your knees down to the ground. You feel how much energy is going out through your legs, guys? Yeah, it should feel like your leg is about to explode in that position. Yeah? So every time you do a développé, that's the feeling you have to have. Okay, that level of extension. So if you feel like you've got your leg kind of like that versus that, you see the difference in the line of my leg when I go that way versus that way? That's going to be the most important thing that creates a beautiful line of your leg. You can point your toes more, Jordan. Ah, there we go. Now the muscles are engaged. Yeah. You feel how much more energy is going out through your foot? Yeah, good. All right, so Daisy, do that again. Push the heel out first. Push the heel out first. Heel out, good. And now toes go longer than the heel. Longer. Go, 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 go. Out, 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 out. Yes, like that. Okay, so it's not just kind of trying to get the toes curled either, because that's not a nice line. You actually want the extension. The toes are going out and over. More. Out, 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 out. Yes, that's correct. Good. There he goes. Yes, very nice, Mother. Good. And what that does, so when you're doing any type of adagio work, now I'm not going to make you stand up and do this again. You guys have been lifting your legs for the last hour and a half, which is awesome. Well done. All right. When you do any type of adagio work, your foot controls the leg. So the amount of energy that you have in that foot, if you let your foot go, point your leg as hard as you can, point, point, point as much as you can, point, do it, just point, and now relax your foot. Relax your foot, relax. Do you feel how much your leg dropped as a result of that foot relaxing? How much energy you lost in your leg as a result of that foot relaxing? Okay, that's basically what happens when you go out and then you let the foot go, everything drops. All the energy that you had, that extension, is gone. Okay, so the foot controls that line. It's the difference between going like this or going like this. Yeah? Look, I'm a guy, I don't have super high extensions, but you could see the difference between the leg and how it extended in both of those développés. All right? All right, good. Everyone gets a mat and a couple of chairs. We're going to stretch a little bit. I'll get you guys some mats. Get 2 chairs, guys. We're going to be your support. Let's just sit this down a bit, guys. Alright, so what you're going to do, you're going to start in a turned in position. So you're kneeling on your back leg. Your other leg is going to be extended out to the front. But you're turned in. So your back foot, I want you to tuck your toes. That's it. So tucking your toes. You're going to slide into a front split without turning out your back leg. So there's no turnout in this split. Keep your back toes tucked. Don't let the foot point. You're tucking your back, no, not the back. We'll train you. Okay, so keep your back leg turned in. It's going to be ugly, I don't care, that's fine. All right, so what you're going to do now, using the chairs, you're going to help yourself. You're going to do a quarter row back in that turned in split position. That's why the chairs are there. So keep your back leg turned in. So tuck your toes at the back like you're kneeling. All right, we want to keep this position, girls. So we're keeping that toe tucked. You're going only as far forward as you can, and then you're going to quarter row back in that position. Lifting your arms up and going back into a cambrai, and then coming back up. We're going to do that 5 times. Going back and up. Going back and up. This. Going in. Moving forward. Forward back. That's it. Back up. 5 times and then swap legs. Tuck your back foot. Okay. Start on top. Yeah, so use the chair, help yourself. Use one arm. Yeah. The point is that, girls, the point is not to get flat into the split, the point is to stretch through the hip flexor. There we go. That's it. Keep your back leg turned in. If your back leg is turning out, it's not being effective. It's supposed to be hard. All right, girls, sitting down into a side split. Actually, let's do this. We're gonna do a side straddle this way. So your feet are again gonna stay turned in. Straddle out all the way out to the side. So like this, as far down as you can, but keeping your weight over your feet. Yeah, but keeping your weight forward. And then you're gonna do 10 push-ups in that position. Yep, just like that, going all the way down. That's it, good. Good. Keep going.
That way it's
Just 10. What's a good 10? Good. All right, everyone stand up, go to the bar. Stand up and go. Mason, you get the little one. Otherwise, they're too tall for you. Dealing with them. You get tall. All right, so you're going to put your leg up on the bar to the front, facing the bar, croisé. So the outside leg up on the bar. Doesn't matter which one you want to do. Oh, Macy, I would go lower bar for now. So face the bar, so you're close to the bar. That's it, good. You're going to lift one arm up, so your outside arm is up in hip position. Good. You're going to plie all the way as deep as you can, 10 times, keeping the leg on the bar. So make sure you're croisé to the bar, girls. Other leg up on the bar, Misty. That's it. Other leg up on the bar, Miller, and get closer to the bar. And hold on to it. No, that was, you were in the right alignment, but the other leg up on the bar. So put so that leg, but facing the bar. And put your right arm, right arm on the bar. Yep, and the other leg. That's it. And now lift your arm up. That's it. Now do 10 pliés. Good. Now once you've done 10 pliés, leave your leg there and lift it off 10 times. Lift off 10 times. 2. Arm up. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. All right, so that was the first exercise. Now you're going to turn and face the bar. Same leg. Turn and face the bar, leg up on the bar to the side. So you're facing the bar directly, leg is out to the side. Both hands on the bar. 10 pliés. As deep as you can. Point your foot all the way, that same extension that we just had. Once you've done 10 pliés, lift your leg off 10 times. Fully stretch your foot. So that same extension that we had just on the floor when you were stretching your knees. And the foot lifts the leg, not the other way around. That's it. Arabesque. Let's go into arabesque with the inside leg, same leg. Other leg, Misty. Same direction, other leg. That's it, into arabesque. You're gonna lift up. So I want you to be close to the bar, so like Elin. And I want you to lift that arm. So one arm is on the bar, the other arm is up in third. Other arm, Miller, inside leg. No, your arm is right, other leg. Sorry. Other leg, that's it. Yeah. 10 pliés. No, other leg. That's it. 10 pliés. No, keep your body upright. Don't drop your body. That's it. And now lift your leg. Yeah. Use your glutes. Top back. So you need to work on that arabesque strength here. No, arm up. That's it. Yeah. And then lift up. There we go. Yeah, now we're starting to get some strength. Good. Okay? So that's the exercise, because you're going to do that exercise every day. That's your warm-up for class. Okay? That arabesque, that devant, all seconde, and arabesque. All right? You do that every day before class. I guarantee your extensions will be much easier within, say, 6 weeks. And the more you do it, the more square you want to try and get your position. So when you're in arabesque right now, you're all twisted and trying to do strange things to lift your leg. As you get better at it, you're trying to pull your hips more square and get your body as upright as possible, so that you're trying to lift your leg as much as you can without leaning forward or changing your arms or dropping your body. All right, so the goal with the exercise is to get as perfect a position as possible in those 10 pliés and the 10 lifts of the leg. Okay? And you do that to the front, to the side, and to the back on each leg. All right? When you do that, I guarantee it, because I know because I've done it. Right? Like, this was something I did every day before class, and by the time, say, 6 weeks had passed, my legs were up here. Well, I was 15 at the time, so I don't have that anymore. Unfortunately, I haven't been dancing for a while. But if you do it, you will get there, I guarantee it. All right? Good. Any questions, guys? Anything that you would like to ask? Yes, Dave.
I was unsure when we were doing fourth arabesque. Where do you think the head should be, please?
Head should be in line, looking towards the arm. So
Okay.
if we're here, we're looking out towards that front finger.
Okay, I think
So basically like that.
because I was looking to the front and then that was sort of twisting me. So.
Now look. You might have a slight tilt of the head towards the front, but you're not looking out towards the front.
Okay,
So
thank
look towards the head. Yeah. Any questions, guys? No. Silence. Everyone's tired. Anyone else have any questions? Georgia, any questions? No? Lily and Sophie, any questions? No. Did you guys enjoy it? Did you get something out of it? Yeah? Was it helpful? Yeah? Awesome. Do you have sore hips? A little bit? Yeah? Yes, Daisy.
Do you know if there'll be another workshop soon?
I'm planning on it. I don't know when it'll be. I do have a summer program in January, And I would like to live stream that. So I haven't decided yet how that's all going to work, but my goal is that will also be live streamed and not just face-to-face. Okay. But that will heavily depend on whether we're still in this space or if we're in the new space that we're planning on getting into, because it will depend on whether we have internet connection. Otherwise, I'll run through all of my data in hotspotting off my phone. All right. Good. Any other questions, guys? There will definitely be more workshops. I'm planning on running at least 12 workshops next year. So keep an eye out. Follow us on Instagram, and there will definitely be a lot more workshops as we go. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure working with all of you. Thank you guys here. And I will send through, so I've recorded this workshop. I will send through the recording to all of you so that you can watch it again. See, you know, what we talked about, because there was a lot of information in there. Watch through it again, listen to it, and keep practicing. You're all doing great. Keep it up, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.